It's really easy to get drugs.
I considered myself, in the beginning, a high-class heroin addict because it initially started with using prescription medication.
Once they get addicted on these opiate-based drugs, they're off and running to the heroin addiction.
They were doing pills, pharmaceuticals made by Merck.
With the increase of prescription drug abuse, to follow is heroin abuse, to follow is crime.
Every time I got out of jail, I learned something new or got a different connect or became a better criminal.
I would steal from my family, I would steal from my grandmother.
You try to say, like, isn't my love enough to make you stop?
It was heart-wrenching for my sister and I when we found out that my brother was taking heroin.
There was kids on campus walking around on a regular basis that just had them at all times.
I remember sitting with my friends and realizing us talking about the fact that we thought one of our friends would end up passing away.
Prescription pain medication was just like taking a vitamin in the morning. I think I was around the age of 25. I had a skiing accident. I had broken my knee, crushed a tibia bone. I had to have surgery immediately. And I went home with, I call it the care package, Percocets and Vicodin.
These are prescribed drugs. They are for a purpose.
I thought it was harmless. I never thought the pain medication would be used to get high. I never thought I would be a drug addict.
My brother as a child was very abused, physically, mentally and sexually abused in various foster homes and also with my own parents. He was never given the proper psychiatric treatment and counseling services that were needed to help him cope. And as he got older, he turned to drugs and alcohol, particularly pain pills and then the heroin.
Pain pills are a prescription heroin. It is the same region of the brain as far as how addictions occur.
I wanted to not be present in life because I didn't enjoy what was going on. Started using mushrooms, acid, Oxycontin, Roxy's, really whatever I could get my hand on.
There's a lot of people, particularly like with my friends, they're good people. Sometimes they have a lot of things going on at home, or they're struggling with some type of internal issue. All it takes is that one time of getting high to realize that all that goes away.
It made me feel, not present in my life. It was just another hour out of the day where I didn't have to think about what I had to do, and after that hour, I would try and find some more to not think about the next hour.
It's called chasing the high. After you've felt that good once, you want to feel that good again.
I'm not thinking about my parents fighting anymore. I'm not thinking about being bullied at school. I think that for a lot of people, that's initially what happens, is that everything goes away.
Prescription drug abuse in Hunterdon County is all too prevalent. Somewhere back in the 2004-2005, we started seeing an increase in prescription drug abuse. We saw our young people having pill parties.
If you're going to a party, you know it's going to be there already. Ask two people once you get in, they'll be like, oh, go see this person, go see that person. And you can easily find really whatever you're looking for.
When I was young, they brought the beer to the party. Now they're bringing the pills to the party.
It all starts in the homes. The kids are starting with their own medicine cabinets, perhaps mom and dad's bathroom, opening them up, pulling out some prescription bottles and experimenting.
I've had some of the kids tell me at college that in high school they started experimenting with pills at parties, and before they knew it, they couldn't believe how quickly many of their friends became addicted.
They're taking these pills and they don't realize that they're using them recreationally instead of how they were intended, how they were prescribed by a doctor.
They're giving them to their friends and they're giving them to their friends. So everybody kind of just got hooked on these things at the same time.
I know in high school, if you were looking for something, you could, if I didn't know a personal drug dealer, all I would have to do is ask a couple of people.
You could just text somebody, they'd meet them in the bathroom of that building, and they'd come back to class high, It was everywhere.
Everybody had them. And then it turned into I was the one that always had them. So everybody knew to come to me to get them.
You have their numbers, you call them on the cell phone, really any way of contacting me, Facebook possibly.
It's so accessible to our young people because, again, of social media.
Your child could go up to their bedroom after dinner, turn on their laptop, and find out who's having a party, what drugs will be there.
And they develop these networks. We call them day trippers. It's almost like a deli order. They'll take an order. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?
Say you wanted ecstasy, and they say, I don't have that, but I have, I just got these shrooms. Do you want that? Or you could say, like, how long till you could get me ecstasy?
You start 2 a day, and then your body starts craving it, so then you 3 a day, and then you can't stop.
Your body physically needs it. Like, people would give me their arm and leg just to get it.
The physical withdrawal from that is so horrid. Quite often the kids don't go back to using because of the high, they go back to stop the withdrawal, to stop the diarrhea and the stomach cramps.
Before they know it, they're so addicted that they need more and more, so they're turning to heroin because it's cheaper.
Oftentimes a dose of heroin's less than $10. So stealing change out of your nightstand can keep your kid's addiction going for quite some time.
It's in ready supply, it's extremely pure, and it's extremely cheap.
My brother was consciously making the decision to cut himself so he could go to the hospital and be prescribed painkillers. He would injure himself with some type of knife or a razor, go to the hospital, and the nurses and the doctors at the hospital would stitch him up. Last time it was 52, and they prescribed him different forms of painkillers. Once my brother ran out of pain pills, he would go back and it would be the same cycle over and over again.
I was in the hospital, a hospital stay for over 2 months for endocarditis, which I had gotten from using. I would have heroin delivered to the hospital. I would use it. I had a central line in my neck. I would shoot the drugs right into my neck in the hospital.
A heroin addict wakes up and they have to get high. And that's their morning routine. They get high, and then, about 6 hours later, they have to get high again.
I've been arrested for burglary. I've been arrested for possession, assault, theft by unlawful taking, shoplifting. I don't even know how many times I've been arrested. I think over 39.
My boyfriend and I got arrested maybe 5 or 6 times.
I was stealing cell phones from parties. I was stealing money from parties.
Armed robbery, theft, selling.
There really wasn't anything that I wouldn't do to get more.
I've asked the girls, how do you get the money? And they said, you give to get. And the boys usually say that they steal or deal.
I stole from my parents, sold my mother's wedding band. I got money for it. I did the drugs.
I have a pretty lengthy history with the law.
When I was in jail, out of every cell, I was in 3 different cells. I was in a medical cell, I was in a population cell, and I was in the working cell. And out of every cell in Somerset County Jail, I was able to see my house from my window. I was in there for my birthday, I was in there for Christmas, and I was in there for New Year's. And in each day I could just stare out and look at my house and wonder what my family was doing. It wasn't fun by any means.
Having someone in your household who is, so dependent upon a substance, is a scary thing. The effect, the impact that had on us was devastating.
Didn't care who I hurt. Didn't care that my parents just spent $60,000 on treatment. Didn't care about anything besides living a life that I thought I wanted to live.
The person I once knew, the sweet girl that I raised from when she was 10, when she lost her parents, really morphed into a monster. Somebody who had no regard for anyone else's safety, would steal anything that she could get her hands on to keep her addiction going. Somebody who would lash out physically, attack me, my wife. Somebody who kicked holes in the walls and really was incredibly unstable emotionally.
It's heart-wrenching, the things, like, to think back what I've done to my family. My family members were robbed of my time, my love. I didn't see a particular family member for over 10 years.
I dragged them through so much, and the first day that I saw my parents, it was behind a glass window, and I picked up a phone, and on the other end was my family. And I wanted to talk to my brother first, and he picks up the phone, and I start, trying to giggle with him. I start trying to laugh, and next thing you know, I start breaking out in tears. I'm bawling and I'm crying, and I'm just like, give the phone to Daddy. And I just couldn't look at him. I couldn't talk to him. I couldn't imagine how painful it must be for this 13-year-old, this 12-year-old, to be here talking to his older brother through glass on a phone.
My family was definitely embarrassed. There were times that I've ended up on the front page of the town paper for being arrested.
It all kind of culminated in an incident in which she threatened to kill herself, holding a razor blade in her hands. My wife, who was pregnant at the time, got into an altercation with her, trying to get the razor blade from her, and thank God nobody was hurt, but it definitely left us at that moment in which you kind of realize this can't continue. It was the boiling point. It was the end. We began to realize that we had to get her help, and we had to get her, in all reality, out of our house. That's a sickening feeling as a parent, to have to put your own kid out on the street.
We wanted to make this documentary to really bring awareness on how severe the pills to heroin epidemic is within our community.
The best way to reduce access to these medications is to clean out your medicine cabinets.
It's not a good idea to throw these in your trash or flush them because people can find them, animals can get into them, it's also bad for the environment. A better way to dispose of them is to take them to a permanent drop box or to a prescription take-back day that's held in your county or town.
The phone rang. From what I've been told, they never knew if it was a call, if I overdosed, if I was in jail, if I was dead.
We would go to parties and you'd see it all over the place, and people were dropping into each other's drinks, and everyone was taking it, mixing it with alcohol.
I always knew I had a problem, but when I sold my mother's wedding band, I knew I couldn't live with that the rest of my life.
It's too easy for kids to obtain pills because they're so naive, they don't understand where it's going to get them.
I've been to jail the past 3 years 4 or 5 times, and every time I got out, I got high.
My brother used us, my sister and I, for rides. He used us to try and get money.
What makes New Jersey an ideal place for the heroin market is that it's coming in through our New Jersey ports.
Heroin is reaching clear through New Jersey at this point. New Jersey is inundated with heroin. It's cheap, it's incredibly pure.
I've had kids tell me that they're afraid that their friends are stealing from them right out of their pocketbook because they need drug money.
I can't tell you what the difference is between the people that tried it once or a few times and never fell into the hole of addiction. All I know is that there's people that had tried it, next thing you know, they're addicted.